Man, this is one of my favorite games, okay? It was an instant 10 out of 10. But it's not perfect, man. And I wish they improve this game because it deserves better. So what I want to do is just to tell you some simple things that I wish the developers work on this game. Very, very minor things. So, of course, support DLSS, FSR. I like it. Let's get a move on soon, yeah? You see the gun speaks with you. It's just fantastic dialogue. Fantastic, just amazing. So, man, support FSR and DLSS. Even indie games, very small budget games are supporting DLSS. That's a must. And I hope they update the game with upscaling because the game is demanding, very demanding. So then the other thing is just bad decisions. I don't understand how they don't see this because it's so obvious. So for example, right now the game is running at 120 frames and the GPU is at 84%. Okay? So if I go here and I look at this grass, look at the performance. 81 frames, 84 frames. That makes no sense. That's like 60 FPS drop. Huge. Because I was getting 120 here. I was getting 120 here, but the GPU is at 80%. So I am actually able to get a lot higher FPS. So this makes no sense, man. The grass looks nice. It doesn't look bad. But if this effect, if this movement that the grass has, or I don't know what it is, if that is so difficult to render, change the grass, okay? Change the artistic vision. It has to change because this makes no sense. Don't let that happen on the game, man. It's ridiculous. And in other parts of the game, I see different kind of grass that doesn't require that doesn't tank the performance that way. Use that instead and change the color. I saw a grass that is like purple and it runs fantastic. Just change that green grass for the purple grass. Or I don't know, use the same and just change the color. I don't know why they miss this thing. They have to see it. It's so clear, so obvious. Even if you don't, even if you are not using, Riva Turner to see the afterburner to see the numbers, you are going to feel that. Okay, well the game is getting slower here. It's getting blurrier. It's so obvious. So then the other thing, on every single Unreal Engine game, is so much. There is so much post-processing garbage, man. Color fringing. Why? Why color fringing? That looks so ugly. Okay, as a developer, if they think that's a good idea, at least on the PC and even on the consoles, have a toggle for color fringing and chromatic aberration. All this crap. This one, I don't think it has chromatic aberration. Well, color fringing, I don't really know the difference between color fringing and chromatic aberration. They look the same to me. But you know what I mean. You look at an object and you see like a red side and it's ugly. Absolutely horrendous. So that has to stop, man. That has to stop, or at least include a toggle for that. Just simple things because the game is fantastic. It's very, very, very amazing. The dialogue with the weapons. The G3 doesn't stand a chance. It's just top notch. The gameplay is super fun. You dodge, you fire the weapon, you jump. You also have a grappling hook. You have a grappling hook here. Let me see. With a knife. So the knife speaks with you too. You stab with a knife. It's fantastic, super fun. Also a lot of enemies. The things get wild very fast. Big fan of the game. Big fan. but yeah, it doesn't have upscaling. So if I use 4K and I come here to the grass, I drop down to 40 frames per second on a 3080 12 gigabytes. How is that acceptable? 40 FPS. That cannot happen, man. That cannot happen. If the graphical features are too advanced, reduce them. Reduce them. It's you. The game should look as good as possible, but it has to perform well. It has to perform well. So yeah, the game doesn't perform bad, but because of those lows, I have to reduce the graphics of the game dramatically. So let me show you what I'm using here. This is NVIDIA image scaling 1440p, and I just like to keep that frame rate at 120, but I can increase it a little bit. And the graphics settings, they don't resolve that issue. Even if I go down to high, the post processing, even the view distance, everything, I go to that grass and it's still the same thing. So I'm just gonna keep the anti-aliasing and the textures, and you will see the grass is still going to tank the performance. And the anti-aliasing, I cannot lower it from very high because it would be, you see, 70 frames, so it's still going to tank the performance. From 120 to 70 is too huge. That difference is too big. So the anti-aliasing, I cannot lower the anti-aliasing from very high because I would see trailing artifacts. So you see now, it looks okay. If you look at the weapon, there's no trailing artifacts. I mean, there's maybe a little bit. Yeah, it's not. There's no trailing artifacts I can see there. So, but if I lower the anti-aliasing, because you might think, oh, that grass maybe has an issue with the anti-aliasing because it's moving all the time. So now I can see trailing artifacts, and it's just ugly. Like, I cannot use this. It's so bad. And still the grass is performing like crap, 70 frames per second. So that's not the problem. It's not improving the performance at all, and it looks very bad. And of course, if we lower the anti-aliasing to nothing, then the upscaling I am using is terrible because it's going to look like the shimmering is horrendous. So that's another thing that I would like the developers to change. That needs to change, man. I love DLSS. I love to get a high frame rate, but it doesn't look like 4K, not even close. I want the games to be 4K, okay? Lower the settings, lower the developers. I would like, so if you put me in charge of a game, what I would do is give me 4K assets. Give me 4K. I do not want things that I look at 4K and they look so pixelated. I don't know what it is. Alpha textures, I don't know what it is. I'm not a developer, but I'm going to tell them what I want is no anti-aliasing, and I want to see each pixel of my 4K display. I want to see that showing a pixel. Because what happens with these games, even at 4K, I increase the resolution here. Let's say I go up to 4K. What happens is that you look at the shimmering, you look at the staircase effect, and it's huge. This is not 4K at all. Like when you look at these things here, they are gigantic. The 4K pixels are very small, very small. They are not this size. So this asset, you can clearly see the shimmering or the staircase effect. You can clearly see that because this is not 4K. So the games, I don't believe any game right now is 4K. If you see this issue. So, I mean, there are some games that do have, that I see that they do look good without anti-aliasing. But the majority of games coming out today, they just look like this, a mess. If you turn off anti-aliasing, it's a mess because they are building the games around TAA, that temporal anti-aliasing. And I am not against TAA if it looks good. In DLSS, especially with that temporal thing, it looks okay. It looks okay, but sometimes it looks blurry. And the biggest problem I have with DLSS is that there is a difference between the static picture and the moving picture. That's the biggest issue for me, because I if the GPU is fast enough for the gameplay. So yeah, let me know your thoughts and opinions. Highly recommend you this game, man. It's just fantastic. If you want to laugh, if you want to have a great time,
in the galaxy, and they just discovered humans, which is you, and humans just so happen to be the most powerful drug in the galaxy, and they're going to sell humans to aliens to get really high on. So yeah, it's bad. It's bad for you, and I get it. You should be overwhelmed. So yeah, we gotta kill all these G3 guys and Garmantuous and save your species and maybe rescue some of my people too. And does that kind of, are you following now? Does that help?
it's amazing, man. It's just fantastic dialogue. This guy and this other guy here.
Oh, look who needs me.
And I remember this voice from GTA 5 in the radio. Michelangelo, Radio Angelo Harris, something like that. This is the voice of that guy. I remember him on GTA 5. Fantastic. I mean, he has to be somebody famous or something, because his voice is just on point. It's fantastic. I'm telling you, in terms of the gameplay, the story, it is funny, man. This is the funniest game I've ever seen. Just instant. This game was minute one. It was like instant. I love it. Like, I'm gonna play it. One of my favorite games for sure. Absolutely amazing. So that's why I would like the developers to go a little bit beyond with the technical side, man, because this game deserves to be a masterpiece. That's the thing. That's my opinion. This game deserves to be a masterpiece, and it needs a little bit more work. Also, support HDR. This game on native HDR with a really good implementation would be fantastic. Look how colorful this is. It's just amazing. It's full of colors. It would be so fantastic on the forest. It's amazing. So yeah, I would like them to work a little bit more, because this is something truly special, I believe. In my opinion, this game is special. So yeah, let me know your thoughts and opinions, and if you have any questions.